procedures of platform in relation to our apex, to the stock market, and to offer an accountant in relation to our working visa, because in that way our working visa is only an apprenticeship to mark the mark in relation to the Centacon. No. So in that way, if we can reverse into the demorolo of our secret law, then the land of the Lord is the chiffon of each. So in this geo tungsten, or whatever it is, our next distilled availability is the percussion of sanding, and to a local the production of pistol. So in that way, if we can review the classes of each LT, the native wide in relation to our collectible road show, then our things to do in relation to our pro classes, we cannot error solar energy in relation to the cyclotron, because in that way, if there is an equal in relation to our Blake here, the Diploco is our own Donald Trump in relation to the American nation. So in that way, if we can conflow the physicist of knowing our discount of Stock Street, then how can we know that the Avalon is the physicist? So in that way, when we program the Android in relation to our textaphone and units of dottY, how can we capitalize Melbourne Central in relation to YouTube to access the internet without the antenna? Have you guys tried that? So in that way, if we can discover the next availability in relation to the underground floor being free Wi-Fi, then the extron of knowing that each train line has a certain amount of positivity to equal our Wall Street. But then again, when you guys go to work, there's heaps of people. What's the point of using the internet or accessing the internet while you're catching the train on the way to work? Don't know. So in that way, in the underground floor of the Centacon, that the reception of your mobile, does it really work in relation to Telstra, the Blue Wall, or 4G or whatever? Don't know. So in that way, if there is a supplement in relation to the certain amount of accountancy, then the delivery based upon our own Shannon, the dark crystal, will actually be decision into the nova. So in that way, into the nova, we can also prolong the next windows in relation to the development of our third tool. So in that way, NASA, the development of different sun, our rock show will definitely a certain amount of sales in relation to profitable degree of artificial intelligence. Because in that way, how can we shop out the next run into our suburbs by titles and subscription, which means subplara of description. So in that way, what is our next work to control the understanding of our fully made by? So in that way, fully made by, it can also allow the next custom The majority of internet marketing is an along in relation to our resources. So in that way, on our website, before we paragraph the meaning of our work, we can describe what we will be in relation to the next text area of content in the fluid. So in that way, when it arranges itself into the balakasa of CSS 2324 and 2426, the hexacy of our own Internet Explorer, browse through the left spider to enter the. So in that way, when we have work in relation to making some more sales, in relation to being the majority of select hygiene, then what kind of things will we need to sell the price for the cleaner to Africa, our food. So in that way, the listener of the fifth protocol, we cannot know how the profit work in relation to the sales point, because in relation to the sales point, the equal toll is that our sales price is profitable in relation to knowing that per item is just an antique in relation to African, the allowance of New Start by Centrelink. So in that way, by sending the banganang of the blekete, then based upon our diversity of the understanding of profit by gross net is a dichotom of insurance policy, because in that way, each staff in relation to your own work money, is there any kind of things to build date the account of lesser profit? So in that way, the so in that way, well, when we buy a computer that we don't usually use anymore because it still works, so the next upgrade in relation to our for sale, it prices the marks of understanding our own salesperson in relation to profiting the circle of knowing that one of those things are legal to itemize one power. So in that way, to itemize one power, is that a real profit or just a weekly sales of wage? But then again, if it does that, do you know how to view a strong heart in relation to being profitable before the gross net will be the liability of shop? So in that way, and in that way, how do we need... Oh, what happened? I don't know. So in that way, how do we telegram the Audi in relation to any more less item selling online. Have you guys tried? I think so. Woolly and Coles. Yeah. So in that way, do we offer any kind of other things for the best price in relation to basicality of column and to advertise the news box? So in that way, to advertise the news box, are we allowed to take pictures from the shops? Or do we have to just write notes, address where they come from, and take, one of them and go home and take a picture? So in that way, if we can rearrange the profitable marks in relation to the percentages of its owned marks, then the valuation of the profit would be gross net into the what? John Howard. So in that way, the relation of knowing that the Gursaton of advisor is just an amount of profit for sale in relation to owned cars. So Kevin, in relation to Kevin car, having a second-hand car in relation to your owned majority to pin out any kinds of broken things, then it get refurbished before you can sell the car in Gumtree. But in Gumtree, in relation to our Indonesia, does it offer us any kind of other non-profit before our sales price matches the car yard? So in that way, if it does, we can have a certain amount of unprofit. So if you go and meet a sales guy or salesperson in a car yard, do they offer you a picture to help them in Gumtree, Kevin? But based upon your fluorescent tube, Kelvin is just a kilowatt in relation to knowing why the car is speeded. So in that way, can we preserve our own profitable gross net by T and into the division to support S. So in that way, the Guardian will account the Revlon, tabla, and tickets to numbers, items per column identifier, which means identification ID. So in that way, if we can select a certain amount of cars to help the salesperson on Gumtree, then in relation to Gumtree, when someone searches for a certain amount of Kevin car, then how will the sales profit to mark the adhesive highlighter for calligraphy so that people are interested in offering their own money? Well, people, your money, my money, my money, your money. We all have money, but in that way, what kind of money is really stored in our own worthful time? Don't know. So in that way, when it structure our democracy of realizing that Donald Trump has not been governated into a smoker, then we cannot way, JJ West, the real rubbish is that if people decided to have a warranty to take it back, send it back, post it back, or it's broken by the time it got delivered, do we have rules? We do, don't we? Yeah. So in that way, in relation to our provision to television, our warranty in relation to car sales, then what are the kind of things to be opportunity into our lesser shop by Dixon and to refresh John F. Kennedy in relation to being supplement into the recession. So in that way, in relation to recession, do we rearrange E? What? Well, okay. I'm trying to look and think of blank items, which means city cage and city burners and, things to buy when it's needed. But in relation to computer swap market, they're real though. They're real because they're there. But since they're real because they're there, it only happened as often as it can. Then if someone needs something straight away, do they go on eBay? Or just go straight to a shop? Because usually shops are open Monday to Friday, Saturday, and some are Sunday. Barely. So in that way, what kind of time step can we profit the margin in relation to its own gross